This is Girl on Guy. Hey everybody, welcome to Girl on Guy 211. Welcome to the show and welcome to 2016. Now, as many of you know, if you listen to episode 210, the awesome all listener question show for 2015, the nature of Girl on Guy is going to change. It's not going away, but it is going to diminish slightly because I'm just so overwhelmed with work, which is a good thing, right? It's a good thing that I'm so busy, but I kind of finally, and I imagine many of you were speculating, when is this bitch going to fall apart? Well, I did. I hit the breaking point sometime in late 2015 and had to figure out how to make my life a little less burdensome. And so Girl on Guy is the thing that is being modified. Now, originally I thought I was going to give the show up, but I couldn't do so. I just love it so much. So the show is going to go from being a weekly episode show to being one episode a month, starting now and going forward. For those of you who have been premium subscribers, and especially longtime premium subscribers, you may be frustrated because you think, well, I pay a little bit extra to get these extra episodes, and now the whole show's going behind a paywall, and what does that mean for me, Aisha? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you ruining my life? Well, I hate that I may be breaking some of your hearts, and so we've done something special, and this is for all of my longtime listeners, both premium and non-premium. From this point going forward, you can get 3 free months of Girl on Guy subscriptions when you subscribe for 6 months. I wanted to just give everybody 3 free months outright, but we couldn't figure out a way to make that work technically. I can't tell you how these things work. I'm not a Mr. Computer Man, but we were able to give everybody half off of a 6-month subscription to Girl on Guy. And all you have to do is use the code GOG3 free. That's GOG, the number 3, and the word free, all one word together. That will get you 50% off a 6-month subscription. And you can redeem that at any time, and it can be redeemed unlimited times. So you can stay a subscriber for as long as you like, and you'll get half off anytime you subscribe for 6 months. Go check that out. You just go to girlonguy.net and click on Upgraded Premium, and you can walk through the steps to subscribe. And then for people that have wanted to get previous episodes local, not streaming, but you want to download them to your device, once you have the app, once you load the app on your smartphone, or your smart device, Android, iOS, and I think you can actually put that on a tablet and even do it on your computer. But I'm not Mr. Computer Man, I'm not Mr. Robot. You can then favorite those episodes and listen to them locally. So that's another way to listen to the show, another way to enjoy the archive, of which there are 250 episodes of Girl on Guy for your enjoyment. So again, that code is GOG3 free for half off your 6-month subscription to Girl on Guy, and that is my personal way of trying to at least soften the blow of the archive going behind a paywall, which is a way to keep the show alive and also keep it paid for, because I pay for the show out of pocket, and advertising defrays just a morsel of those costs. And I've always paid for the show out of pocket because I've loved to make it. But in order to keep the show going, now that we're only doing 1 episode a month instead of 4, this was a way to make sure we sustain the costs of uploading the show, housing it on these servers, distributing it out to all the platforms that people get it on, and the general cost of making the show. So that's what that is. And I hope you guys will all go and subscribe. And all you have to do is go to girlonguy.net and click on Upgrade to Premium to do so. Okay. What else? A thank you, I guess. A thank you to everybody that's been so devoted to the show for all these years. I do love making the show, and I am going through some changes now creatively and wanting to expand my reach and go farther afield. And so sadly, I can't do everything. I'm not Superwoman, despite what the song says. But I want to thank all of you for your devotion to the show and your passion for it, and all the kindness and all the letters and all the emails and tweets and everything that I've gotten, not just over the years, but especially over the past month as the show has evolved, and people have come to me and said that they appreciate it and understand how difficult it's been for me to make. It's a baby. It's my baby. I love it so much. And so I just want to thank everybody out there for your support. You are fucking awesome. You can follow me online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, where I post lots of photos and things about my travels. I did get to go to Europe in December, and I had as much fun as I could cram into a very abbreviated period. And I will be doing lots of exciting things this year, including returning to Criminal Minds. And we are starting a new season of Whose Line Is It Anyway? It starts recording this week, and that will be coming to you soon as well. So many magical things on the horizon, and all of those things are happening every day on the talk. every week on Criminal Minds on Wednesday nights on CBS. New season of Whose Line's premiering on CW in just a couple of months, and a brand new season of Archer. So stay tuned for news about that. And because the show's only going to be posting once a month now, it's even more critical that you follow me online if you want to know what's going on. If you don't want to know what's going on, that's fine too. I'm not your mom, and you don't have to follow me. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. I support you in your life choices, whatever they may be, unless you're hurting other people, in which case, get your shit together. All right. This episode is brought to you in part by Casper mattresses. And Casper is a longtime supporter of the show. The thing I'm going to do this year is just have one advertiser per show and not two, and not load them up. And so just my longtime supporters are the advertisers that I'm taking along with me on this new iteration of the show. And Casper is an obsessively engineered mattress at a shockingly fair price. Everybody that I know that's bought a Casper mattress has been incredibly happy. They make brilliant sleep equipment, and they come to you in a magical way, compressed into this cool box that when you open, the box expands magically to size in your home and becomes the cozy place where you will lie and repose for the foreseeable future. These mattresses have just the right sink, just the right balance. They use two technologies, both latex foam and memory foam, and those two things come together to help you sleep beautifully and enjoy better nights and brighter days. They have a risk-free trial and return policy. And here's the best thing about this. You sleep on a Casper mattress for 100 days, free delivery and painless returns. You get the opportunity to see if this bed is actually right for you. I've bought many beds, and in the past, you lie on them in the store, and you have no idea how this thing's going to feel on day 7 or week 7. And Casper wants you to find out exactly what it's like to sleep on one of their mattresses. They were so convinced and so confident about what they make that they give you over 3 months to enjoy this mattress in your home, an American-made mattress, and you get to figure out whether this is the mattress for you. These things are affordable. They start at just $500 for a twin-size mattress and $950 for a king-size mattress. Incredible price point for an incredible bed. And here is how you get your special Girl on Guy offer. You get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/girlonguy and using the promo code Girl on Guy. Any mattress, any size, any price, $50 off. I urge you to try this. I've had many, many friends try it. I've tried it, and it is just a fantastic bed for a great price. I urge you to check it out. Casper has been a longtime supporter of Girl on Guy, and when you shop with them, you let them know that supporting Girl on Guy was a good choice for their business. So check it out. Casper.com/girlonguy and use the promo code Girl on Guy to get $50 off your mattress purchase from Casper. Check it out. All right. This episode of Girl on Guy is with the sensational and multi-talented actor Taye Diggs, who I have known for many years, and I find him to be complex and interesting and mysterious and wonderful, very thoughtful, very smart. And you may know him best from lots and lots of things. He's done lots of things, including being an originating cast member of the Broadway musical Rent and also the film. He just starred in Hedwig and the Angry Inch on Broadway and many, many movies. Still Got Her Groove Back, The Best Man, and the series Private Practice. He's currently starring on 2 shows right now, Murder in the First and also Rosewood, and he's an incredibly busy guy. He is someone I've known for a long time, and I think he is so interesting and thoughtful and constantly challenging himself to be a better artist and a better person. And this is such a great conversation about art and identity and race and pursuit of excellence. And we'd really dig down deep. And it's a really great conversation with a guy with a really interesting mind who's also, I think, such a comprehensive talent. And I think I didn't even get a chance to see him in Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which I was really frustrated by. But I did see that play with Neil Patrick Harris, and it is one of the most difficult roles I've ever watched anybody play. And he's a singer, and he's a dancer, and he's an actor, and he's a writer, and he's a really, really great guy. So enjoy this conversation with the multi-talented actor, singer, dancer, producer, writer, Taye Diggs, coming at you straight out of the Girl on Guy bunker and right into your face. I am doing this show because when I started to do it, I was Well, we're starting, so put that close to your mouth. Yes. Tay Diggs, welcome to my show. Tay just asked me why the fuck I do a podcast. That was what he was thinking. He asked it much more politely than that. But, I started it when I wasn't as busy as I am now.
Okay.
Like I was just doing Archer.
You're pretty busy now,
yeah. And I had been a guest on podcasts, and I loved it.
Right.
And I thought, let me just see if I like it. And I ended up doing a bunch of interviews at Comic-Con, and I just loved it.
So real quick, so right now you're answering this question. Are you changing? Are you aware? Are you just answering this question like you would answer if we weren't on the show, or are you just a little bit pulled up because we're on the show?
No, I try not to pull up because I'm on the show. I try to be. I feel like people who have listened to the show know that I typically don't pull up.
Okay.
But if there was any conservatism in that answer, it would be just around the fact that right now I'm so busy that the show has become much more difficult to produce than it was when I first started it.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm still doing it is because I love it so much. Like
right.
when I take a hiatus like every August and September.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, it's so nice not to have to do that show. And then the minute I come back, I'm like, oh shit, I love making
it's like
this show.
Theater.
Yeah, it is like theater, right? Like theater. Tell me about that, because it's so much work that when you're not doing it, are you like, thank God I'm not?
Yeah,
you just came off a play. You just came out of Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
I did. Yeah. It was life changing. All of that.
Tell me about it. I want to hear about it.
It was. It's almost hard. It was so much that it's almost difficult to relay, but it coincided with just what I was going through personally with this divorce and this kid, and feeling like I had lost my identity. I needed something to focus on, and then it was, I also didn't realize that I just needed a swift and intense kick in the ass, because it was the hardest thing I'd ever done, and really? I'm not, I realize that I'm talented, but I'm also very lucky, and up to now, kind of not lazy, but I didn't have much. My ambition had a cap on it, and once I had reached, like when I was a kid, I was like, I'm gonna be famous, and then once I realized what I could do, I was like, okay, it's gonna be through acting, and then I hustled, and then once I kind of quote unquote made it. Once I found my flow, I kind of just chilled, you know what I mean? And I remember it was when I was doing private practice, I was getting paid the most I'd ever been paid in the ensemble. And during that time, I was I bought a really nice house. And I had a kid, which was cool. But just as far as my art personally, I was paralyzed, I played basketball all day when I wasn't working.
This is so interesting. We're going to spend all our time here. It's so good. It's already so good. Already so good. Because it's just like this. You got into my cut. You put both your feet into the cut like immediately. Good. So good. You paralyzed, meaning that.
It was like I convinced myself. You know what? And this is how you can fuck yourself up. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do, if I don't feel comfortable, I was going therapy, and, everything was, there was a two-edged sword. So I was realizing, okay, there are times all my life I had been uncomfortable, trying to please, trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to putting other people before myself. And then you go to therapy, and then they're like, you know what, you don't need to please, you should, you're older, you have money, you're in a place where if you don't want to feel uncomfortable, you don't have to be.
Right.
So you can voice yourself. I don't feel comfortable with this. I would rather not do this favor for you. So I was kind of on that track and, trying to kind of empower myself. But at the same time, it fucked with me because I got in my own quote unquote comfort zone and then didn't challenge myself. So whenever anybody asked me to do, I hate doing, what are they called? Will you come and sing for its benefit or for this? I was like, okay, I'm not going to do those. I was afraid of the idea of doing a one-man show, performing. I didn't like to sing. I never thought. You were
done singing, huh?
I never really thought I liked it.
Oh, wow.
So I had always done it as a means to an end. Musical theater, I loved being on stage and I loved dancing, but I never really dug singing, especially by myself.
Right.
Because I never thought I really had a good voice. I thought I could sing. So all of that stuff people would throw at me, and I would say, no, how do I feel about this? I feel uncomfortable, so I'm just not going to do it. And then I realized, this wasn't until afterwards,
Yeah.
I just hadn't done anything, made all this money in the ensemble. I'd like lowered my standard, thinking I don't need to be the lead of shit. Like I had my own show. It was so much hard work. And, you know, as a black man trying to be a lead and you got to deal with all this other shit. Let me just be right here. I'm kind of in my groove. I'm cool, like kind of proud of myself. Like, okay, this must be what being an adult is like. Like, you know, I'm gonna
Like
have
an
a kid.
equilibrium.
Yeah, like you don't have to be Will Smith, but you know, isn't it interesting how all of, you know, the most money I'm making is when I'm not really on my hustle. Oh, you know, thinking that I'm seeing this, and I was, you know, saw life differently. But then upon looking back, I had really just atrophied. You know what I mean? And then I was looking at other cats that maybe weren't making as much money or weren't as known, and they were on their grind, hustling.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, you're producing this? Oh, wow. Oh, you directed that? Oh, you did this one, man? And I'm like, wow, how is this cat doing it when... I was like, okay, you need to re-up some stuff. So then I think it was when I turned 40, I said, okay, I'm going to say yes to everything.
Ooh.
Just as an exercise. And then that year, that was when my first children's book was right on point. And then I started just singing more, and then that's when I just started to find some ambition and start to just move. So all that is a long way of getting to realizing that I have to kind of kick my own ass in order to do things, because naturally I lay back in the cut. You know, I have a certain amount of talent where I can just be cool, and just between you and me and whoever's listening, you know, I can just be cool and do what I do, but it's still, you know, it's still impressive to other people.
Yeah. Well,
that's the gift that we have.
That's the gift. That's
you know what I mean?
Part of it. That's the gift. Yeah.
It's amazing, but it's lucky because I can impress folks by just being me. But then in order to impress myself and push myself, that's work. So I started to do that, and you know, and that's been great. It's been really cool work, but cool. So then, you know, I was going through all this personal shit with divorce and whatnot, and you know, I'm a wuss. I like to hide away and just kind of, you know, I was feeling sorry for myself and whatnot, and then the opportunity of Hedwig came, and Hedwig was like the type of show where I saw, and I never even, you know, even considered the idea, a possibility of doing it.
Just because of the nature of, first of all, the character is an East German. I mean, just it's always been this very specific.
So specific.
Because I'm
more
always
than
any other. Yeah.
I'm always a guy that was like, oh, it would be cute if you could switch it up. But this was, it seemed impossible. Do you know what I mean? But when I would see other people do it, they were literally rock stars, and I was like, okay, I need to find something like that for me, because, you know, after I turned 40 and I started really working at shit, I was thinking, all right, what are all the things that, let me go back to that cat that was hustling when I was in high school. What are all the things that I feel like I can do that I haven't done to my, you know, highest ability? And that show was it.
It had everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Like my name above Broadway, my name above, you know, the title, singing, you know, full tilt, acting full tilt, you know, being a trans character, acting,
physical
heels.
As shit.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
I want to pause really quick, because now, just quickly, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what I really wanted to ask was that how did it come up? Did they approach you?
Now, you know how it is. I don't know what it was like. I personally, and see, I shouldn't laugh because that means but seriously, I'm on ever since the divorce, I've been on a for real spiritual journey. And I think I brought it to my, like the universe just dropped it right there. But then literally, I don't know what happens on the other side of the curtain.
Right.
You know,
When
I
stuff
just,
comes.
yes,
Yeah.
I know that my agent called and said, and he almost scoffed at me. He was like, I mean, you know, they want to know if you want to be Hedwig. And I said, as soon as he asked me the question, I got the feeling of discomfort in my stomach. And there's a voice that you listen to, and then there's a voice that you ignore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the voice that I'm supposed to ignore was like, no, you're going through this. You need time, you know, to just heal. And the last thing you need to do is you know, do the hardest project of your life. Just give yourself, just take your time, breathe, and an opportunity like this will come, you know, when you're a little bit more equipped. And then I know both voices, and I was like, fuck you, yes. And I said, yes, I'll do it. And he said, all right, well, you know, I'll give you the weekend. No, don't give me the weekend. Call everybody now and tell them yes, because if I really think about it, I won't do it.
Yeah.
And he said, all right, well, I'll just check back on Monday. I said, on Monday it'll be yes too, but yes. I said, now listen, yes,
That's
don't.
very agency too. They're like,
you know what I mean?
And they want everybody to dangle a little bit, and where's the money?
Well,
and
you know, it's Thursday afternoon, Monday I'll call you, and we'll see if you're serious about it. No, I'm saying don't lose this. If this is a hard offer, I'm gonna do it, and I'll fire you if I lose this. I'm saying yes now, because once everybody gets in the mix, people they can get
pull
your job.
threads. Oh,
and
everybody
you
pulls
cannot,
their threads.
you can end up not getting a job. I don't know how many directors I've run into at a bar, at a club, where they're like, we came at you with this, but then your people said da 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 da.
Like,
and these were
what?
directors that I would have loved to have worked with.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I told him that, and then I started, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And once again, I just I attribute it to, and I think I did all right. I think I did all right.
I'm depressed actually that I didn't get to see you.
I am too. You're somebody I would have liked
I've
to
seen
have
the show,
seen it.
and I you know how there's times in your life when you have holes in your and you can travel. I just had one of those runs where I didn't have a hole.
I totally
fucking
get
depressed
it.
about it. Like I remember reading about it in the paper, and I think I tweeted it out right away. I was like, oh shit,
thank you.
This is so like whatever fear you felt or how is this going to work or whatever, I just remember thinking this is genius. Like this is the most delicious idea. Because what they needed was a comprehensive artist. Black, white, whatever, as my father would say, black, white, yellow, beige, or brown. What they needed was someone who could do everything. And there aren't that many guys.
No.
That's why you came up. Like, color aside, who can do this? There are only a handful of people that can do that role. That's it.
Yes.
And I think also to see you and how different you would have been from, like, say, Neil would have been really exciting.
Yeah. And that's a cool thing. Yeah, I mean, I became, through that show, I became the kind of actor that I always hated. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, which was the type of cat that talks about the process. And, you know what I mean? I mean, the character, actors that talk about the character.
Right.
I'm like, motherfucker, the character's you, just say you. But it was the first time I played a role where I really felt like I wasn't me. And shit would go on stage, or I wouldn't know where it came from or why. So, I would hate when actors would talk about roles as if it was like a club, Hedwiggy. But once you play that, once you see someone else that's played it, no one in the world has gone through that experience. And you just start just throwing up stuff about the role and parts in the show that were really difficult and enjoying it, you know what I mean? So it was...
What was the hardest part of that process for you? Because it wasn't just...
The rehearsal period.
Really?
Yeah, because... and this is how I know I was forced to work unlike any other way. I was forced to work unlike the way I normally work, which is, your strong points, go home, do your homework, find your beats, find your little comic, and just plan it all out, because I'm a Capricorn. And there just wasn't time to do that. You know, it was so much music. Oh, I'm getting scared even like remembering. I was so petrified. Like, I've never been in a rehearsal process where I didn't know how this was going to happen.
Right.
So I just had faith and would just try and just learn as much as I could. But it was the type of thing where normally you go to rehearsal, you learn a bit, you go home, memorize what you learned, and then go back. But there was so much to do, there was no time for me to go home and learn what we had worked on. Mm-hmm. So I would have to go home and try to memorize new shit, and do it halfway. Oh, it was so tough. So just naturally, the process, that's one of those words I hate. I had to trust the process. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I had people in my ears, you know, for the first beginning performances of the songs. Mm-hmm. You know, I got all the, it's weird. Usually the songs are the first things, the easiest things to memorize. But I didn't pay any attention to the songs. I was trying to get the choreography and the blocking and the acting beats. So the songs were the last thing, you know, mm-hmm. that I had to memorize. But you know, just it was magical. Once I got up there, it just came together. And the one thing that I never thought I had, which was improving skills, was the one thing that was my backbone. Mm-hmm. So once I got in front of an audience, all of a sudden this bitch came out, and people were really, really laughing. And then that gave me the confidence to say, okay, now I have something. I can base this character on this. And then slowly the rest of the show came around. But I had no idea that was going to happen. And for the whole rehearsal process, I was like, I don't know how this is. I don't know what I'm doing here. Right. I don't have time to work on the accent. I don't have time but it all just came. It all just came.
The other thing that's really interesting to me, this really dovetails with everything you kind of started talking about, is, and I think I know what you were saying about knowing what your strengths are, and a big part of your career playing to those strengths, right?
Like rehearsing it.
You know your way in. And especially if you're doing like just regular old 1 hour scripted television, right? You show up, you know your lines, you know what to do. It's rare that you're challenged so much in that setting mm-hmm. that you wake up with no ideas.
Yeah.
So for something like this, where
preparation.
You're prepared, and then you rely on the skills you've developed over years, and they're going to kick in. You're going to be able to turn in something that you're proud of. Yeah. To come into something when you're going through a transformational time in your life.
There's that.
And then you're having a transformational experience artistically.
I love that you get it.
Like, it must have been both exhilarating, and like you said, just now you were feeling fear. Mm-hmm. I guess I wonder if when you were thinking about your life prior to when this thing came along, the thing that was missing, the thing that had maybe allowed you to get comfortable, was fear. And that you really needed to do something mm-hmm. creatively frightening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lean into it. Like mm-hmm. all of that stuff that I used to make fun of people. You know, I love, when people on Instagram or all this, when people send you those sayings, those
mm-hmm.
corny.
Oh, people love it. Ugh.
And now I love them. I used to hate them, and now I love them because I get it now. It mm-hmm. all has come full circle. But like literally leaning into the pain, like, it is life changing. It changed my life. And I had never. Outside of my son, I hadn't had life-changing moments. Mm-hmm. I just hadn't had mm-hmm. them, and that was the beginning of something crazy.
Well, I got that. Then the last thing you said made me want to go in 3 different directions. So the first direction is. The first direction is, did you come out of that play, because the play was the direction, right? Choosing something frightening was the direction.
Yes. Yeah.
Has it affected, not just personally, like in terms of your own artistic growth, has it affected how you're approaching your career since you left it?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. And that approach is to just be open and that there are no rules. I'm a rule follower. I like to make rules. I don't like to take risks because I would much rather play it safe than put myself out there and then get fucked up. But that's not how you grow. I used to say, all right, well, my way is better because if you never really fail, you never, have to worry about climbing back. So if you don't need to be great, then I'll just win. I'll just be winning, especially from everybody else's perspective. But personally, you don't grow. You don't grow. And then being out on that stage and not knowing and being forced to be okay with it is so freeing. I grew up like super, super nerdy and then slowly grew into some looks. And then while I was nerdy, I would look at all the cool people and register and be like, okay, so when I make it, this is how you are, this is how you talk, this is how you act. Because once I get there, no one's going to really fuck with me. I'm going to stay there. So then I followed all that. And then once I came into, being acting, I was like, okay, now I'm here. This is what I have to do to stay here. I'm not going to do anything to make that waver. So I cared about what other people thought.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walking to the club and you get, you get the bottle, then you get the tape, then you sit
How does
up on
this
the
look?
banquet.
How does this
yeah,
look?
Yeah, okay, this is, okay, cool. Because, for the rest of the world, that's what works.
Right. That's
You know
what
what I
makes
mean?
sense. That's
Yeah,
currency right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
They've arrived. Based
right.
on these 5 or 6 accoutrements I see in this
Yes.
photo, this person has
Yes,
made it. Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So then, but not caring what people think. And that's why I'm saying it was like the perfect storm because, I'm 44 now. After a certain age, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like I'm successful and I don't have to really care. Like I can say some bullshit and because I am where I am, it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Real fans are real fans and they'll stick with me. So all of that, coming to all of those realizations at the same time, this play brought all that to the surface. So so that has just changed my entire perspective on how I look at the world personally and my career.
Right. I mean, it also feels like the thing that flipped for you perceptually was the idea, and I know I'm just speaking now from my own experience as well, is like very early on when you're hustling, like you said, your sense of what success looks like is very specific. But when you arrive at a certain place in your career and you feel like, okay, I've hit some of these points, what you realize is that it's also very constraining, it's very limiting, right?
Yes.
Like you lose artistic radicalism, right? You can't grow without radicalism.
No, you
and
cannot.
You can't. It's just there's no growth without agonizing change.
For you,
for you personally, yeah. And something you were talking about. I talk a lot on this show about the power of failure and like and like how that is actually what makes you strong. And when you're avoiding it, like you said, you hit a mid-level, but you can't actually you can't have any breakthroughs, right? Because you're just comfortable.
Right.
The things you were talking about, and this is a very traditional term, but it's going to work because I've been going through it. What it seems like you were describing to me, and people used to use this term kind of negatively, but I actually don't think it is. You went through a midlife crisis. You were looking around.
Are you crazy? Like if you knew. If you knew.
But I mean, part, like buried in that, right, is
100%.
like, is this who I want to be?
Yeah.
Am I headed where I want to go? What am I going to do with the next 40 years of my life? Is it going to be meaningful, or am I going to cruise? And people tend to dismiss the midlife crisis. Oh, they're going to get a sports car and get a young girlfriend. But that's not what it is. What it is I have a finite amount of time. How am I going to use it?
Leaving a mark.
Yeah, leaving a mark.
Leaving a mark for me too.
Without and within, right? Like
100%.
Like, is everything I'm doing meaningful to me, valuable to me? Because you can get up and jump, and I do it. jump in your sports car and drive to your studio. Someone brings you breakfast. Someone brings you clothes.
Yeah. Oh, don't get that twisted. I want all that too.
But I mean,
want all
it's
that
fun.
too, but right.
But you know what I mean? It can be soul deadening.
Yes. Oh, 100. If that's it.
Right.
If that's
If
it.
that's the
and
only
if you're a
bad
true,
thing.
I think if you're a true artist, it's not it. And then people, that's when some real shit starts to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you redirected it, but it's the thing is when it's happening, it's excruciatingly painful. I mean, change is so fucking painful. Even when what's on the other side of change is what you want or what you think you need or what you know you need. Getting over there is like gut-wrenching.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's really tough. And that role, we closed it. And I wasn't anywhere near what I know I could have done with it. So that's how I know that I'm not done yet.
That's exciting.
You know
though.
what I mean?
That's an exciting
Oh
place
yeah,
to be.
100%.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking. That wasn't it. You know what I mean? That was
Right.
the most difficult. But there's still a lot more left. So now I gotta figure that out.
But that's also a discovery you made about yourself. Because
Yeah.
I think in that process of saying to yourself, well, is this going to work? Can I do this?
Right.
To discover not only can I do this, but I don't even think I left it all out there.
Right.
There's more in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
feel like as an artist, there's a fear that like, oh, maybe this is all I had. Like, this is all I got in there. Like,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? That's a terrifying thought
Right.
to think.
Right.
I've done it.
This is where the vestiges of the old Tay or whatever were.
Yeah.
But like I would have almost looked at that as, instead of a fear, sitting back and be like, okay, having this, I did it.
Yeah.
Now I have a reason to lay back. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before, the whole reason for me moving forward was, wait, you haven't done it. You haven't done it all. I could easily sit back and say, all right, well, that was it. That was the hard. Now I can lay back, but I can't. Just
No.
because I know that there's more left.
It's like I said, I think it's
I hope. I hope it. I don't think it's ever going to. If I stay on this path, it's never. That point is never going to come.
No.
Do you know what I mean? That's the thing.
You pray for that, right? Like, I
Right.
think the worst thing to do would be to wake up one day and be like, oh, I've stopped growing.
No,
Or
yeah.
I can't think of one thing I want to do that I haven't done.
Right.
And that's when you go to Palm Springs and get fat. Oh, sorry. That was a
Yeah.
very weightest thing to say. But do you know what I mean? That's when you move to Palm Springs and start wearing like a muumuu and, and like getting up and drinking at 9 in the morning.
Yeah. And I've done both of those things. But,
As have I. And a well-placed drink early in the morning can be very effective. Very effective.
Man.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Where were you born?
I'm really weird. I talked to you about writing. Now I just started writing.
Started
now,
writing, yeah.
yes.
You're writing
That was
about your
another
life.
thing.
Yeah.
Is actually hunkering down. And
That's exciting.
Starting to write that, but I don't know for a fact. But my mother says, because my whole family's crazy. New Jersey, not East Orange, but Newark.
Newark, okay.
New Jersey.
That's what your mother tells you, but you have reason
Yes.
to
Yes.
to be
Now I don't know.
suspicious.
What she's saying. Stories have changed many times, but this is what she says. So, she says, all right. So there's my father, my birth father, who I never really knew, but they were together, and then they were on and off, and then I was created, and then my mother went to this hospital in Newark to have me with her mother. My father wasn't there. She didn't know what to name me, so my mother's maiden name was Barry. So on my little bracelet and my footprints, the name was Baby Barry. My mother left the hospital before they gave me a birth certificate.
Okay.
So I don't have a birth certificate. My mother called me, so crazy. My mother called me Andre, just because that was my birth father's name. Then she left New Jersey. So right now I'm Andre Berry in the timeline. All right.
Yeah.
There's no
Documentation.
okay.
Yeah.
There's just Baby Berry, which isn't really a person.
Yeah.
It's my mother's maiden name with the word baby in front of it. So this is how crazy my family was. Nobody thought to go back and get anything. So now I'm Andre Berry. They used to call me L.A. for short because that's where I was conceived.
Mm-hmm.
My mother left Jersey, moved to New York State, Rochester,
Mm-hmm.
started working at Kodak, and met my stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Jeffries Leo Diggs. Crazy cat, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
As eccentric as it gets. My mother moved in with him, instant kind of family, and she thought this would be a great opportunity for me to kind of lose the memory of my real father
Mm-hmm.
and kind of force myself into this new family situation. Now, at the same time, and tell me if you're not following, because I'll go back.
I'm riveted.
My stepdad lived in I wrote a children's book called Chocolate Me
Yeah.
about this moment.
Mm-hmm.
It was Greece, a suburb, Greece, New York.
Mm-hmm.
It was a predominantly white neighborhood, and there was one other black kid named Reggie.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked around me, and my name, Andre, didn't feel, at the time, white.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
for me, it was just my name didn't feel like all these other kids around me.
Yeah, that you knew.
They made fun of me.
Mm-hmm. How
So
old were you at
this
this
was
age?
5.
Okay.
Yeah. So out of nowhere, I came into the house and said, "Mommy, I want to change my name." And I remember thinking, I went through like Jimmy, Johnny, Jason, all the names that seemed really, really white at the time, and I came up with Scott. So my mother had no idea why I wanted to change my name, but she jumped on and was like, "We can have a new beginning, like relabel ourselves." So then from that point on, my name was Scott, which is the name I chose, and then Diggs, which was my stepfather's last name. Now, to this day, I don't know how, like I have a social security card with that name, but I don't know how legally that worked.
Right, you just took the name, and you didn't
then
go through the
magically,
process.
Yes, and my mother doesn't remember, because when I needed a passport,
You didn't have a birth certificate.
no. So
Oh.
I literally, that was by the grace of God or whatever. Like at the end of the day, there was a nice woman behind, the window that was like, "Well, just bring in a really good friend." I had as much shit as I could.
Like bills and
Yep.
yeah.
And then at the end, it was just a friend of mine that said, "Yes, he is who he says
Says
he
he
is,"
is.
and she just hooked me up. So
That's
it's
incredible.
crazy. So
Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, I exist, but then I kind of don't exist.
I mean, there's a trail for you, right? Like if you could go back to the hospital and they would have
Yes.
records of Baby Barry being born in this
But no,
hospital.
because
But
bust
no.
this, when when I was trying to get my passport, we're like, "Oh, okay, we'll just go back to the hospital and get your birth certificate." The hospital burned down.
Oh
And
my God.
So there's no record.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
So you'll be able to trace me back to a certain point, and then the shit will stop.
It's incredible.
If you don't know any of my history of Baby Barrier, I lost my footprints.
Yeah.
So now I don't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now I just have, I have to start from the passport and my social security card.
That
and then
point
start
forward.
From there. So that's crazy.
Did you have that? Okay, so you were talking about being the only black kid in this very white suburb.
Yeah.
And I had a similar experience, and I know what it feels like to be very, very other, like very other.
We need to come back because I got so much to say about this shit.
It's like, I think people could find like could talk about it in some really traditional kind of like obvious dichotomy ways, like the only black kid and you got teased and kids are racist and stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like push all that aside to just focus on the part of you that just doesn't feel like you belong.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? That identity, like who are you? And then doubly compounded with the fact that you essentially adopted a whole new identity in an attempt to feel more a part of the world that you had joined.
Exactly.
Did you feel other your whole childhood? Did you find a way in? And also, how do you feel like your otherness may have, because I always feel like outsiders tend to be artists. I just feel you become a very good observer.
Oh, totally.
But I wonder how you feel that affected you. You've written a book about it, obviously.
Right. I mean, and for me, and this was another like a Hedwig moment where, like, I went to this trauma camp like a couple of months ago called On-Site, where for me, I looked at a bunch of stuff that was happening in my life that I didn't really dig, and I was like, this has to do with my past, and I want to go somewhere where I can just get some intense work and have shit beat out of me. Do you know what I mean? So I can really get down to business and figure out, want to be responsible
and
for,
free yourself from the stuff
100%,
you've been carrying around. Yeah.
But not even really knowing. So, because I didn't want any excuses. So, while I was, in this intense therapy, this wonderful therapist likened my whole life to, and this is so corny, but please bear with me, Hedwig's life. And it matched like exactly.
Wow.
It was just with identity. So I say that to say that I'm still dealing with that. You know what I mean? Just wanting to fit in, existing, realizing that you don't fit in, doing what you need to do to fitting in, but then realizing that there's somewhere else that that you're feeling excluded. And it has been a journey it's a continuous or continual whatever journey. So I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still.
Well, and like you said,
today.
Feeling like you've never arrived, which maybe feeling like you've arrived is a dangerous feeling, as we discussed before, because it can really kind of stick. But I feel like the other thing that I always carried around was this thing of like, well, I've snuck in here, and at any moment, everyone's going to figure out I'm an imposter and run me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's that feeling of kind of like not belonging anywhere you go.
Yeah. And it's easy, pity and anger, I'm realizing. I mean, I don't know. I'm still figuring out. Pity, there's no room for. Anger, I guess, can sometimes propel you, but I'm trying to figure that out with this whole spiritual thing. I don't know. I guess there's a place for it, but I don't know.
It could be a trap. I mean, like you say, it can propel you forward, but it can also be a trap.
It can be a trap. And for me, there's so much anger there, just with my identity and with how I was treated, like for something as simple as, and I know that you can relate to this, getting made fun of, for talking white or studying or doing
homework.
School.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as something happens where you do something that is of note, then everybody crowds to claim you. Do you know what I mean? When I'm like, y'all motherfuckers, you know what I mean? Now all of a sudden, like I want everybody that was like Barack Obama, he's the first black president. I'm like, y'all niggas, like you know that you sat there and called him white and wouldn't let play, you know what I mean?
With him, talk shit about him.
And now he's your first black, and his ass is mixed, like. And I just sit I sit on this. Do you know what I mean? And and I just got to smile and
Yeah.
Just okay. Well, this is
let's
my
put
people,
it, we're gonna
my
put it in the
people.
street. We're putting it in the street now. We're gonna put it right into the street because I do this all the time, and then I get mad at myself for doing this, Tay. But it's just how I feel. And I'm not gonna put anybody. I feel like there's organizations in this industry who don't want to claim you until you have something they want. So then all of a sudden they want to invite you to stuff and they want to lodge you. I'm like, you weren't fucking with me when I was doing Talk
And you're
Soup,
not
so I'm not interested in you now.
Exactly.
I'm not interested in you now.
But then people will say, well, that's just part of the process, and you got to keep moving forward. So put all that behind you, or else you're not. But then that leaves that. But then nobody takes care of us because then we're fucked up inside. Because at some point, that has to come out.
I try to put it down. We're talking about anger, and I think the anger is such an interesting thing. Like you said, it's a natural aspect of being human. You can't not get angry. I mean, it's involuntary a lot of the time. And it
100%.
Based on right, yeah, and it can be based on very real experiences. My response when I get angry is just to go dead. I'm like, I'm just not fucking with y'all no more, and that is the end of that.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
That's a choice,
and that's how I have handled it. And I don't care if it comes off as glib. It's that life is finite, and I only have so much time for so many things.
Go.
I'm just not.
I get it.
I
get that.
But you said it is involuntary. You can't control. You can't always control how you feel or how your anger is going to express itself.
No, but you can get you can get trapped by it, because I don't personally I don't want it to paralyze me. For instance, I don't know if I wrote a second children's book called Mixed Me.
Yeah. And this was after you had your son.
Yeah.
So really focused on his experiences, which were going to be different than yours, obviously, in a lot of ways.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Totally.
so many ways.
Totally. We're already, he's mixed. You know what I mean?
And not just black and white, but his mom is Jewish, right?
His mom is Jewish.
Are you raising him religious? I mean, these are all questions.
Not yet, totally.
All
not
big
yet,
questions.
but I want to. I want him to learn. I'm raising him spiritual, which is cool.
And have him make his own choices.
Yeah. But there's there's a rich cultural history there that I don't.
Yeah. That's not just religious, like you said. That's cultural.
Cultural.
Yeah,
and I don't want to take that away from him. So I'll probably, I'll talk to his mother about this shit. But I want him to know all of that. But he is mixed. His mom is Jewish and I'm black. So I wrote a book thinking that this was, a positive thing. No, knowing that it's a positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I say, this is for other people that may have similar backgrounds, whatever their history is, self-empowerment and not being afraid to say and claim who you are and to uplift yourself. And people have taken that for me to say, people have taken that thinking that I was saying that I don't want my son to call himself black. So, I mean, so now, okay. So the first emotion was disgust.
Right.
Because anything that fucks with my kid, I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. This is my child.
Right.
Don't
even look my way.
Don't even have his name come through your mouth.
Yeah.
Unless it's all positive.
Yeah.
So fuck you. And then it was, all right, come on now, please be smart.
Yeah, be a thinking
do you know what I
person.
mean?
Yeah.
Be smart.
Yeah.
We're already, and a lot of these people are black. So it's like family. It's like, come on, people.
It's self-defeating madness.
Let's try to. I was disappointed.
Try to look upwards. Yeah.
Totally. And then it was so disgust, disappointment, and then anger, which just was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired. All my life, I've had to just try to, be the person that's trying to explain.
Explain yourself.
I understand. I understand why you feel like this.
Ugh.
So let me just be the one to just, spell it. I won't be angry. There's a reason why you feel this way. I understand your thoughts, and we've been held down, and and women, and not feeling loved, black women, and I get. And I was like, I'm fucking tired of it. I'm tired. So fuck y'all. Figure it out. I'm going to do me and fuck you and fuck you. But then I said, all right, well, the spiritual side was like, this is an opportunity. And it would be different if I hadn't written the book.
Right.
But I was like, oh, okay, this now forces me to have a platform to basically just better explain what I'm talking about in this book. I didn't think I would have to fuck with grown ass adults, but so be it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So be it. So bring it on. So
Right.
now I'm gonna do these talk shows and be on panels and shit and have to talk about something that I never.
And also something that in a lot of ways feels like it doesn't need to be explained. Like it seems like you're having a conversation that people should have been having 50 years ago. Like why?
But I'll do it.
It makes me think of when Tiger Woods was talking about his ethnicity and he called himself Cablinasian. I think that was how. And people were mad at him because they were like, "We're just fucking black. You don't want to be black." And he was, and I just remember thinking, he is. But you're asking him to deny half his mother, the woman who birthed him. You're asking him to deny one half of who he is. Yes.
You know what I mean?
So to run around saying, "Oh, you trying to say you're half Asian, but you're just well, you know how that not even. You're just black, and you need to stop denying your blackness," is just bullshit. Because half of his identity, the food he ate growing up, the woman who wiped his ass, is not black, and it's not, I mean, to say you're more than one thing is not a denial of that one thing.
It's very simple, but it's, to me, it's very simple to me.
It seems very clear.
Yes. But, fear is a fucked up thing. And I think for me, I'm really hoping to speak to, a very kind of, what is the word cogent?
Cogent means like a cogent argument is a
Can a person be cogent?
A person can be cogent, but more typically an argument or a discussion or a point is cogent.
Okay.
You're making a point that is well constructed to the point. You can speak cogently.
Okay, to someone who speaks cogently, you're smart.
I'm a nerd.
Hey, well, I'm all for it. Who has similar beliefs as these people that are kind of coming at me, and I really want to know where they're coming from.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to understand it because it seems so small-minded. There's got to be something behind it, right?
Yes. Because when I think about it, I know that there has to. Because there's ethnicity and then there's identity. But for me, I don't understand why, like you said, you can't have both. But
also, that simplistic construct was put on us.
Yes,
it was placed
by
on us.
white
Why?
people.
And so why are we then taking it on ourselves? Why not say, I mean, the great leap forward for people of color in this country, for black people specifically, is we are not a monolith. We do not all feel the same thing. We do not all have the same experiences.
Yes.
We do not all eat the same food, and we cannot all play fucking basketball.
No.
Why are we, when you hear a black person come to you, and I remember this is a story of a friend of mine whose name just fell out of my head because I can't remember shit. Warren Hutchison was a comedian and a writer, and he was writing on like a show like a black sitcom, The Parenthood or something like that. And he was at like the crafty table, and he was eating a bagel. Yeah. And a black writer came up and said, black people don't eat bagels. And he was like, black people don't eat bread with a hole in it? The fuck are you talking about? Like, that's the kind of thing. That's the thing that is just
that's why I like
comprehension.
Blackish. Because they deal with a lot of that. They deal with like, and I'm, that's the funny thing about it is, like, I want my son to identify with being black. Like, I want him. This is my own weakness, and I'm just admitting. I want him to call himself a black man, but that doesn't mean it's right, and that doesn't mean. And that's not, and far be it from me to put that on him.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I'm a human just like everybody else. And when I ask myself why why is it that I want to make sure I speak a certain amount of slang around my son just to make sure he, because I grew up not knowing any of the hip shit.
Right.
And I would look at other people and be like, oh man, how come it just comes so naturally? And then I see his parents. And so I was like, all right, well, I want my son to always feel like he fits in.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure he knows how to speak properly, but then he knows the this and the that and how to
Mm-hmm.
I lost my train of thought. So
it was about you want him to define him. You want him to say he's a black man. I think you were
Yes.
going to say, but this is why. But maybe you were going in a different direction.
Right. But
It's coming.
it is.
It's going to
it
come
is.
back to you.
But okay. So right.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I ask myself why am I doing this,
Mm-hmm.
it all comes from a place of fear that who we are. I'll just speak, to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Who I am will fade away.
Right.
Like I want my mark to be left on him,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a fear. Like what happens if, we as black people we have worked so hard, we have come so far
Mm-hmm.
to the point where we can actually, we can be proud.
Mm-hmm.
We've done so much. And it's that name, like I am black. That means something. And everybody knows I am black. I came from this and now I'm this.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? I am black. But if you take black away, it feels like then we have nothing. Do you know what I mean? It feels, it can easily feel that way as opposed to this is me.
What's interesting is that's probably where people who come at you from the other side,
Yes,
that's
that's
a place of
what I
fear they're
think.
operating from. Sure.
And now that's why I want
Sure.
to talk to one of these people and see if I'm on the right track.
But the other side of that, interestingly enough, and I've thought about it. I think my mother was in SNCC and was like a big activist in college, and like a real,
Yeah.
she wasn't a Panther, but she was on that tip.
Yeah.
That they feel like these are all the sacrifices we made, right? This was the
Sure.
fight that we, my mom went to school with segregated bathrooms. You know what I mean? It wasn't
Right.
3 generations ago. It was my mom.
Yeah.
But I think that the nuanced aspect or the flip of that fight is you work so hard so that I can define myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be defined by somebody else. We've been defined for so
Right.
long from the outside.
Right.
Hopefully we get to a place where we have the freedom to define ourselves however we
Sure.
want. And that may mean that some of us fall away from whatever large kind of monolithic definition we've made
Right.
about black. But
Right.
wouldn't it be nice to have the same freedom that every other ethnic group has
Yes.
to define themselves in whatever fucking way they
Yes.
want to?
Yes.
That it's as an artist,
Yeah.
you feel like, is this choice I make as a black actor going to reflect badly on my people? No
Right.
other actor's walking around thinking if they take a role as a
No.
junkie or a hooker, it's going to say
Yeah.
something bad about their ethnic
Yeah.
group. We're the only ones.
Right.
And
Right.
and it's a burden. I mean,
It totally can be, yep.
I think it's
extra shit that
it's
you
just
don't.
extra shit. You
Yeah.
can't just be a fucking artist,
Right.
Right? Like, let me just do my shit and tell
Right.
my stories. I've got to
Yeah.
think about how this looks all the time, and.
Mm-hmm.
No judgment on people who take stuff that's stereotypical and they make a lot of money, and God bless them.
Yeah.
They do their shit.
I mean,
Get out there,
'cause
make your money.
there's that side of it too.
But it's I think the goal for me, and I think that's the conversation that you have with these people that feel this way, is haven't we worked this hard so that we can be everything we want to be,
Right.
and not just the things that you think define us as
Right,
a group.
right.
Because we just have never, you go over to Africa and the African dude in that village thinks the African dude in that village who to our eyes look exactly the fucking same is completely alien. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we think of ourselves as one thing, but
Yeah,
we were
it's limiting.
made this way. It is limiting. It is limiting. At the same time, I'm utterly proud to be a black woman, but it's not everything I am.
No, it isn't. But we are. Yes, we are. If you don't say that, people will be offended. Because I feel like others didn't have the choice. We have more of a choice,
Yeah.
and then others didn't, because that's what people will say. Like with my son, if he chooses to call himself mixed, that's cool. But then there'll be another cat that says the rest of the world is going to look at your son and see a black man, like regardless of what you think or what you want to say. He doesn't have white skin and he doesn't have blonde hair, blue eyes. The rest of the world thinks he's a nigga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which,
I guess both things are true, but in the
Exactly.
end,
It's
if
how
we let
he
the world define us, we wouldn't have fucking
100%.
gotten here in the first place, man.
That's what is so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, don't, and that's where that's where my patience has to come in.
Your
I'm
work,
like,
your work cut out for you.
Fucking don't claim me then.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't
claim
come and
me.
claim me when it's convenient.
Don't. When I win my Oscar, when I'm the first, don't fucking claim me. If you're gonna be silly like this. But I can't say that. I will have to smile on stage and go to a bunch of luncheons and, you know what I mean?
I
You
always
know
have
what
to
I
keep
mean?
myself from saying that. Like, I'll tell my publicist, call them and tell them they didn't want me before. They can't have me now. She's like, I can't do that. I'm
You
like, but you
know?
kind of can, though. You kind of could if you wanted to. You
In
didn't want me
college,
before.
I couldn't get any of the cute little black girls. They did not want to fuck with me.
No?
And then I went out with white girls because they liked me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moment that happens, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I don't love black women.
Ridiculous. I've had actually somebody tweeted me once, oh, why do you hate black men? I was like, I don't even know what the fuck you are talking about right now. I was like, my father who raised me is one of the greatest black men, in my opinion, in the world. I talk about him all the time adoringly. He literally formed me out of clay with his bare fucking hands. Don't tell me I don't love black men. Like, and then you're reduced to the like, my best friends are black shit, which is just like a bunch of bullshit anyway. Like, but why am I going to sit here and try to justify myself to you? Like,
I mean, cry me river, but that's what it's
interesting.
real, and it stays with you.
Yeah, it does.
All that shit stays with you. You know what I mean? It doesn't go away. I thought after I had a little bit of fame, I was like, all right, well, I'll just be me.
Mm-hmm.
But it stays with you. And those cats on the other side, whatever their issue is, they don't go away. You know what I mean? There's always going to be something that someone's going to come at you.
You also just have this blessing and this burden, which is that you are so prominent. You have had so much success, incredibly diverse success, commercial success.
Right. To a certain extent.
I mean, there's so much more ahead for you. But, I always tell people this. I don't do a lot of research because I always want to learn about people.
Sure.
Even when people I know, I want to learn about them in the moment. I don't want to be like, I understand, you want to blah, 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 and you've done this, Because I hate when people do that to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, my favorite color is not purple, motherfucker. Stop reading Wikipedia. But you have had like this really broad kind of success, like in like very commercial television shows and very commercial films, and what even would, I was thinking of like roles you've played that felt like, I don't have better language for this, something like as traditional as like the Go or something like that, which, you know what I mean? Like these roles that feel alternative and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you are a chameleon is maybe not even the right word. I just think you pass to the eye. You pass easily from world to world. You can do something like Best Man and or The Wood, and then you can do something like Private Practice, and you can do something like Go, and and then you're doing Broadway. You have a certain facility,
right,
that makes you emblematic, which makes you a target.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People do hold you up. They do see you up there, and they aspire. And anytime someone is aspirational, they become a target.
Yeah.
There's probably no way around that.
No, not if you.
I mean, you are going to be the first black blop to blop, and people are going to claim you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no way around any of that.
And, I will be, don't get it twisted, I'm also proud of all that stuff. But like you said, that other stuff doesn't go away, So I can't act like I don't remember.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Do you also feel like now that you have a son, you think about this stuff more or less?
Totally, more.
Okay.
More. Okay. A gift is that with him, he teaches me to be in the moment. Because right before I was born, just like I told you before, I thought I could plan everything out, But, once you have kids, you realize there's no time. You are forced to be right there in the moment, and who you are as a person comes out. And I'm thankful that I that person is a good father. I'm thankful for that because, the first shit that comes out, usually to me, I'm comfortable with, and he's turning out okay. So when I think of him, I almost have no control over, let me make sure he's raised this way. But then when other people bring themselves into my arena, then it forces me to think more about it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If this shit didn't come to me with identity and whatnot, I never thought about Walker's identity before this. It was just mixed, and I just wanted to write a book for kids, like him. All of my mixed friends would tell me how they were forced to choose, and it was just a book about self-esteem. But now that this conversation has come up, now it's constantly on my mind. So I wouldn't have thought of that naturally, but now because of my son. And because people have brought it to me, it is the fuck on my mind.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And
so,
having been a young boy moving through the world and having those experiences shape you in a certain way, you think, can I make this easier? Or can I frame it differently for him?
Just being aware. I want to be just aware. And now I'm curious, the other day I asked him, because he's very aware now, who's black and who's white. And I said, this is something I wouldn't have thought of, but I wanted to ask him. And then I said, okay, well, is this okay to ask? And I said, well, Walker, what do you think of yourself? And he said, I'm mixed, just like that. So then, that's when I took a deep breath, because I never told him he was mixed.
Right.
I never told him that. I never used, that vocabulary. He just arrived at that, and I'm cool with that. That is accurate to me. And that was, and it was honest. I wasn't disappointed that he didn't say black, and I know that's going to upset some people, but I wasn't. I'm cool with that. Now, would I have been disappointed if he had said white? Yes, I would have. I would have, for more than the obvious reasons. You know what I mean? And that's that's just life. I have pride, and I was raised a certain way, and I'd be cool with it. I would have to be, but there would be a little, a little part of me that was, kind of saddened. But he didn't. You know what I mean? And that other person, I can still, I can deal with that. I can deal with that later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can still try to work on that.
And his identity is going to continue to form, obviously.
100%.
Constant.
100%.
Forming as he moves through his life. Can I, before we run out of time, this is a question that I'm sure you've been asked thousands and thousands of times in your career.
So like a little bit above average is what most people say. It's
a little bit above average. Impressive. and then you throw in all the skills and it's like life changing.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
Exactly.
So the second most common question you've been asked, I guess, is I did read a little bit about you, and so the first quick question is actually not that question. It's, when did you know that you wanted to be an actor?
College.
College, all the
when
way
I
to
knew
college.
it. When I knew it. I knew I was good at it in high school. But then I went to Syracuse University for vocal performance, and then was bored. And then I saw a bunch of people rehearsing in the dorm, and they were part of the music theater program. And then I transferred, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to ride this out. Right.
Because you had almost, you couldn't have known when it was happening, but looking back, you had this kind of like a series of almost perfect events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Rent, and did Stella come before or after Rent?
After Rent.
So like you had like these two like really
Totally.
seminal projects
Yeah.
happen for you.
Yeah.
And I guess I wonder if like when Rent was happening, if you knew that it was special when you were doing it.
How can I say this? I'm hyper aware, but then at the same time, I can be very flighty. So I knew that. No, I didn't know how special Rent was going to be. I was just having a really good time.
Right.
Then once it really hit,
Yeah.
then I started to realize. But I came late to the realization
Right.
how special it was. It didn't really hit me until years later. Just what the show truly represented. At the time, I was just very thankful, and I thought it was going to be a great springboard. You know what I mean? And I knew that it was changing people, but it didn't hit me the way it was supposed to until years later.
Right. I mean, I think moments like that typically don't. Like, you look
Yeah.
back now and you're like, oh my God, I mean, this seminal
Yeah.
play, this seminal cast,
Yeah.
so many of whom have gone on to extraordinary things. And it was a play that kind of captured a moment in time culturally
Yeah.
for America and what was happening with,
All
youth
of
and
that.
AIDS and like all these things that were just so specific. And then you get Stella, and I imagine that must have been much more of like okay, this is about to be a big deal.
Yeah, that was, and I was, because I speak to young people now, and like people would just approach me in like the middle of in the parking lot, with my kid and a cart full of groceries, and be like, "Yo, brother, like for real, like how'd you make it? Like how did you what?" I'm like for real, like right now, you want me to tell you how did you know? Like did you have an eight?
Oh God, it's an impossible question.
Oh my Lord! In
It's
the
an
middle of the day
impossible
with
question.
groceries and my kid on my hip, but for me it was confidence. You know what I mean? I truly believe, like when you ask not to liken myself to the Oprahs but all those people, like, did you know you were going to make it? Did you everyone who's made it, they knew whether they had talent or not.
Right. But inherent in that knowing, it's like a two-pronged approach, right? One is I know it, and then two is I'm going to execute and continue to execute.
Yes. Oh, totally.
Like relentlessly.
Yeah. And for me, it wasn't even. To me, it went hand in hand. So the work wasn't even work. It was just this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
Because I know it was common sense. In order to put myself in a room, like I knew that somebody wasn't just going to come down from heaven. I knew I had to be in the right room
Which is how
with the
most
right
people
person.
imagine it happens, is that you're
Right.
sitting at a diner and someone comes up and tells you they're going to make you famous.
No, I want to be that person that does it for someone
Somebody
else.
yeah.
But I knew what I needed to do. So that confidence pushed me through. And then, but there were moments like Rent, where in my life, in my head, I was supposed to be the lead. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't the lead, so I was like, okay, it's not my time now. And then the play blew up, and I was like, okay, this is gonna put me in a position where I'm gonna be the next thing. And I was the last person to pop from Rent. Everybody
Really?
else, Adina got a record deal, Adam got a record deal, Daphne got 2 movies, Jesse got a big TV show, and I was like, at the time, I was like, wait, I'm this cat, so I just had to wait and still stay the course and not. Because that can get in your head when you start comparing.
Totally. Yeah,
it can really get in your head. But I just stayed the course, and then I got Stella. And
Did
then
you
it
audition
was-
for that?
Yeah,
movie?
and I auditioned not thinking that I was going to get it, just because the description was like a tall, Jamaican dude with dreads.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was like, let me just go in and put myself down just so they have me. because back then I looked at every audition as like an opportunity to show people who I was. So I did it, and then I got a call back, and then I don't know if the movie lost money or something. They put it on hold, so then I just released it, and then it came back months later. They had a screen test, and then I booked it. Mm-hmm. And even then, I was like, I made it. And then the day after it opened, I expected, because you read all these magazines, you see what paparazzi is, mm-hmm. and I didn't understand what all of that actually was. I thought that after the movie opened, I would come home and that my doors would be just surrounded. Tay. And I walked home from the premiere. There was nobody there. I was like, okay, my bank account was still the same. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So, it was a learning curve.
Oh, I love it.
It was a trip.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about that film that I remember vividly, because I remember seeing it in the theater with my mother and my grandmother,
Of course.
And every other black woman in the world, is that it was so much about you as a sex symbol. Like, that's what that movie was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean,
mm-hmm.
it had this romantic core, and it was very much about, Stella's awakening. But like, you were like a sex symbol. Like, you were like this hot dude in the movie. And after that movie, did that translate for you into people seeing you that way as an actor, like, and pulling you in for those kind of roles?
I don't think so. I mean, I had to like take my shirt off at times, but like
for auditions and stuff.
No,
just at the supermarket. At the supermarket. hey, man, can you take your shirt off?
It was. I don't know. No, I mean, after that was, Go came out and. Mm-hmm. And The Wood and The Best Man, like, so it wasn't like I was like the hunky guy for mm-hmm. any of those. You mm-hmm. know what I mean? The interesting thing was I was waiting for that, but on a universal level. Like I was so ignorant. I remember I was with CAA, mm-hmm. and I didn't realize just the racism that was. Let me know if we're
no, we're good. This is perfect.
Racism in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I got this movie that was somewhat universal. Mm-hmm. A lot of white people saw how Stella
incredibly well. Across the board.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I got my ticket. I wanted the roles that Matt Damon and shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So then I left CAA.
Because you felt like they weren't pulling that stuff for you. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And, at the time, CAA was, I don't know where they are today, but they were like the biggest and the baddest agency. Mm-hmm. And, I was with a smaller agency when I got Stella. And then CAA came after me. And, of course, I was like, oh, this is how it's supposed to happen.
Right.
The biggest and the baddest. So I signed with them and was really, really hyped and thought I was cute, like in my head envisioning this is the type of career I want to have. And, Denzel did this and that. And, but then I was just getting, and at the time I was very grateful, but I was like, okay, when is my, what was it? Matt Damon did this big lawyer film.
Oh,
when is my?
I'm thinking of Rounders, but Rainmaker,
like
the Rainmaker.
Yeah. When's
mm-hmm.
mine coming?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, well, I got to be with the agency that knows what they're doing, and I didn't realize that that just wasn't happening.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It didn't matter what agency I was with.
I don't feel like it started happening until like a couple of years ago.
Oh, and we'll see. Hopefully it'll stay, but it's a trend.
Yeah.
It's still a trend.
Right. Well, just because Hollywood is like a school of fish, right? Just it swims to whatever's sparkly.
Yes.
And the same people that would say to you 5 years ago, "Oh, black movies don't." Like, I mean, I just remember like reading about. Straight Outta Compton, mm-hmm. and all the studios that were like, this movie's not going to make any money. It's definitely not going to make any money overseas. We're only going to spend this much money on it. Mm-hmm. And then it was just like this massive fucking juggernaut. And then right after that, some other like all black cast movie just opened like crazy. But like you said, it's a trend, but I still think Hollywood will go back and be like, well, that only works because
Of
it
course.
was this.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
That's what'll make it a trend. Like they won't. Yeah. So, yeah. These people.
but it's so
These people.
well, and just the idea that like our stories aren't American stories, right? Like a black story is just a black story. It's not an American story, so it's not a universal story. I think that's the thing that everybody is so stuck in here. And
Yeah.
and yeah.
You can't. I mean, I try, it can really. It's a drag, and it can really bring you down. It's almost. So that's been my challenge / struggle, is being aware enough. Because when I was a kid, I was like, ignorance is bliss. So don't bring me down. Don't come to me. When I was doing well and I started out, I literally said, don't come to me with, black roles and how come we can't. Like I said, I'm doing well. So stop complaining, get up off your ass, and let's get down to business. If I can do it, you can do it. And then I gained, then I opened my eyes a bit and was like, okay, shit it's not just about hard work. Or complaining, this shit is skewed and we need to do something about it. But then you can't, you don't want to be that dude where you walk in a room and all the white people are like, oh, here we come. I'm going to feel bad about myself. You don't want to be that cat either. You know what I mean? He's going to come and make a statement. And so, you kind of got to, figure out, get in where you fit in. So I'm very aware, and I'm going to speak my mind, whether, people want to hear it or not. And people are like, oh, it's so great. I mean, it's for minorities, all the television shows, and it's the best time. What you call this, what do they call it? Like a renaissance of sorts. And I'm like, it's cute now, you know what I mean? But Best Man 2 wouldn't have come along if how to
not the one about think like a man, how to think like a man. Yeah,
that didn't do so well. As soon
Right.
as that did well, our movie got, they signed off on it.
Right.
And then as soon as Best Man 2 did really well, they signed off on Best Man 3. Then some time passed. There haven't been any black movies that have done so great in that genre. So now all of a sudden, nobody's in a rush.
Right.
I mean, interesting.
Right. Interesting.
With what is it? What's the big TV show with
Scandal.
the before that? And I mean after that.
How to Get Away with Murder.
No, it's more Empire.
Oh, Empire. Yeah.
Empire. Empire came out and is doing crazy. And it's so black. And now it's like, I know I have white friends that are like, like now my white people can't get work.
Get a role. Oh,
And I'm
now they're
like,
all going in for the sarcastic sidekick.
Exactly. Hey, Reggie. And I'm like, I'm not going to feel bad for you. You just wait, a few more months and the shit will come back around. So don't get it twisted. So, I'm gonna say, I'll say that. I will say that. I will say if Empire hadn't done so well, because you can get away with, how to, the Shonda Rhimes stuff. She plays it. I don't know if she does it on purpose, whatever. I am in no way knocking her hustle. But you can easily say that those shows aren't quote unquote black. You know what I mean? You can easily.
She's found
someone
the way.
can say that.
She's found the way to make. I mean, to like silence all the naysayers that have said, well, white people won't watch a show with a black lead by writing a show that is universal and the lead happens to be black. That's what she's done. She's done it masterfully, right? And then they're so populated with so many different people that there's something for everybody.
And there's specific types of black people in those shows.
Right. Empire
now,
is a black show.
You cannot. I love it.
It's a great show. But white people are watching it. I mean, it wouldn't be a hit if white people weren't watching it.
Exactly.
There's not enough black people to make that show.
So that's what made people say, okay, well, since this is doing well, then we'll try all this other stuff. So we'll see how long that lasts. But, we're fighting a good fight.
Like I said, I think the thing that you've done if I can analyze you creatively. The thing that you've done, and I think some of it just comes from your experiences, you know, you have this talent that you were born with, and then you have what you've done with it. But the thing that has, I think the set of tools that you got, which may have felt painful when you were a kid,
Right.
have made you successful as a grown-up.
100%.
It's being able to sail through any setting, any context, and be comfortable in any context. And I think as an artist, especially if you're an artist of color, you know, if you're, I don't want to parse it out by race, but just because of the way the world works and because of Hollywood works, you have to be more versatile if you want to work. If you're a black actor, you just have to have versatility in a way that a white actor doesn't have to. Have.
If you, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just,
for me. You know what I mean?
I just think that the Empire may change that, right? That there may be like more diversity in black roles, but for so long, it was like, if you want to work, you've got to be able to slide into this context.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And play this guy and be this guy in a way that some other guys can't do. I just think your versatility has given your stool like 11 legs.
Yeah. I feel very, very fortunate. But then again, you know, I fall in between the cracks.
You think?
Oh, I know for a fact. Only because, you know, there'll be people out there that know me and know what I can do, and are friends of mine that are in the business and in positions where they can give me the lead of a this or that. But they'll say, okay, I'm going to keep it real with you. You know, there's the lead, and then there's the second lead that is the lead's best friend. So if I've literally had people tell me this, if we got such and such white actor, they don't want you to be the lead because they feel like if you're the lead, it'll be a black movie or that the movie won't do well overseas. And we can't make you the best friend because you're so good looking. We don't want people to
overshadow the guy.
Exactly. We need to have a corny looking dude or whatever.
Right. Because you're going to undermine the romantic storyline or whatever.
Normally I'd be like, okay, well, it's a white dude lead, I'll be the black best friend.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, you're not really the black best, and that's where the racism is.
I see.
Because it's like, normally, if you're black, you already are on a different level than the white star. But they're like, you're above that. You're not really black because you're so good looking. Do you know what I mean? So you're not really the black guy because the black guy wouldn't be seen as good looking as the white dude.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
It's crazy. And some people know it, and then some people don't.
Some people say it and they don't realize as it's coming out of their mouth that it's fucking utter madness.
Exactly. Well, you're too sophisticated, or you're just... yeah. You know.
Well, and then the more ingenuous way would be to say, well, you're a leading man. You are a leading man. We can't put you in the B role because you're not a B. You're not the B guy. You're the A guy.
Very easy for them to say that. But then I have to... That's when I have to take control of my own situation and create. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when people don't know what to do with you, you have to tell them.
100%, and make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Before we do self-inflicted wounds, you're writing your life. You're writing about your life.
Yeah, slowly.
I just want to know how. I know that you were thinking about it for a long time, and you're just starting to do it.
Yeah.
How is it feeling to you?
Cool. I kind of get it now. One thing that I'm telling myself now, I'm trying to not tell myself that I'm not such and such, because I used to say I'm not a writer, and it starts with that, as corny as it is, because I can be. Like I've proven it.
You've written and published 2 books, so of course you are.
There's that. Yeah. I didn't even think about that, but yeah. But it was just how this dude. I wonder if I can say his name.
We'll say his first name?
David. Yeah, it's this cat, David. He said, just write down some thoughts on an email. He was slick with it because it was like, I'll write you something, and you just respond in an email, and then just send it off to me. So then already it's not like writing; it's just an email. Then and I started with that, and then it felt good. You know, it was just on my phone, and you know, I used to say I don't know how to type.
Right.
So in my head, a writer sits, you know, at a computer and types, and I was thinking I don't want to have to take so much time, but I'm familiar enough with my phone that I can kind of move. And I was like, oh, okay, this isn't bad, chapter by chapter. And if I've, you know, just kind of, you know, take it one step at a time, and just recount. Because I also thought, you know, I'm not this cat that has a way with language, but he said, just write down what you remember, and I've been doing that, and it's cool and it's fun.
Finding it therapeutic at all?
Probably. I'm a cat that doesn't feel it in the moment. I don't feel much in the moment. Stuff happens, and then it hits me a little bit later. But I'm sure it is. I guess how can it not be?
Right.
But it's. I'm excited now to see what it's going to come out with. Now I have to just get over. Okay, well I really need some time to sit down and have writing time. You can't wait you just got to do it.
Just have to go. Yeah. And then do the thing that you probably are better at doing in your other artistic endeavors, which is to not be doing a lot of like self-judging.
100%.
Which is, I think, of all
100%.
the art forms, the most crippling when you're writing.
Yeah. Because I know what I enjoy reading.
And you think, oh, is this as good as that?
Yes,
is this even valid? Instead of just saying like, this is the story.
Yeah, and I let other people kind of deal with that.
Yeah.
It's pride, a lot of pride. You know,
Yeah.
I want them to just look at it and be like, "It's amazing already.
Perfect.
You don't need any editing, and you have such a voice." And
Never read anything as Pulitzer. I've only read 6 pages, but I
pure,
smell
and it's so wrong.
Pulitzer. Evocative. I feel like I taste.
Exactly.
I taste it. Now, do you have a self-inflicted wound story? I saw you just curse.
No, I'm just gonna say this. Okay.
All right.
So, I'm not gonna judge myself.
No?
I am, but I'm gonna.
No,
try.
don't do it.
So it's Christmas. It's Christmas time, and I'm in New York City, and I got just enough money, you know, where I can go do some Christmas shopping.
How old are you?
30 something. 30 something. Early in my career of being somewhat known, because I remember I was on the Upper West Side. Wasn't married yet. So I'm going downtown. I loved shopping downtown because that was like where I thought the rich people shopped. Soho,
Yes.
you know, taking cabs, treating myself to cabs with all the shopping bags. You know, it's all about, you know, checking off all these dreams.
Yeah.
So it's evening time, and I love being in New York around Christmas and all the crowds, very, very close to Christmas. Have all these bags, and I'm going, picking up something, and I know I have to go to the bathroom, but I'm like, you know what, I'll just hold it. Let me get home. So I go outside. I can't get a cab. That's a whole nother thing. A whole other thing. Finally get a cab. I'm in Soho, and I'm all the way on like 100 Street on the west side.
Oh, you have
West
the
End.
other end of the island.
Yeah. So for anybody that's not from New York, it's an easy,
Far.
It's right at like 7:38, so that's still rush hour, Christmas season. So now I'm in the cab, and I'm really having to go to the bathroom, and I have all these bags, or else I would have just stopped the cab and said, just drop me off at the subway, but I had all these fucking bags. So I'm holding it, and you know when you have to go to the bathroom so bad that, like for a dude, it's like the pee comes right up to the tip, the tip. It's not even. It's past the muscles.
You can't.
It's past
keep
your
it,
stomach and the tip, and you're like, just doing breathing exercises. And squeezing the tip so it doesn't come out. So finally, he pulls up to the crib, and I got all the bags, and I throw him a $20 bill. Run up the stairs, run up the elevator, and it's to the point where you're stomping, and you feel like if you stop stomping, then. And I had sweatpants that had a tie, a drawstring. So I dropped the bags, and I'm fuddling with the keys. I get the door open, and I'm trying to undo my sweatpants, and I just get the tip of my shit, but it's tied in a knot in my head. Once I knew it was in a knot, like my body just gave out. So just the tip of my shit is coming out of the sweatpants, and I just explode, and I'm literally peeing in my face in the hallway of my house, going, up, 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 up. And I couldn't. I peed on myself, in my face, to the point where when I finally got to the toilet, I hadn't.
You were done.
Was just. It was awful.
God, that's
but
so
so awful that it was funny.
That is the best story.
Oh, good. Then that's
It's
okay.
perfect.
Good. Because I didn't know if that was.
So good. It must have prepared you for parenthood too. From what I
Oh,
understand,
my
boy
Lord.
babies are always peeing.
And then it's kind of cute, but when it's your own, I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
As it's happening. As it's happening. Oh, that is the best.
Very humbling, those moments.
That is such a good story.
Those
And I like
moments.
that it happened at the end of a day where you're
Oh,
just famous.
Of
You're in
course,
Soho
rich in
with your
Soho with
bags.
my bags. I'll catch a taxi.
Uptown, please.
Exactly.
The Upper West Side.
Already
There's
just a
money in
little
it.
uncomfortable. Exactly.
There's a handsome tip in it if you hit the gas. Fine, sir. Oh, that's so good.
100 Street, sir.
That's so good. That really
yeah.
was a fucking great
Oh,
story.
good.
It's really
Okay.
excellent. I could talk to you forever, and I'm so happy that we finally
This was
got to do
great.
this
Yeah,
today. It
no
was
doubt.
such
I'm
a
so
joy.
proud of you. I'm very, very proud of you.
Oh,
I don't know what. Yeah, you're just
thank
doing,
you.
but
I
you're
feel the
doing
same way
so
about
much, and
you.
you're very inspiring.
Oh my God.
And good. You're good at what you do and inspiring. So please
I could say
continue.
and will say all those things about you. Seriously. It's
All right,
always
well,
nice
thanks.
to watch somebody else and think, oh, I want to emulate that person. I'm legitimately joyful for everything that is happening for them.
Oh,
and I also want to copy.
No,
And,
you don't need to copy
Well, like
me.
when you want to emulate somebody, you just think, okay, like this person's just making great moves. They're doing things that I admire.
interesting.
And I told you
'Cause I do
when
the
they
same about you.
announced Hedwig, I just thought, fuck yes,
You gotta
Tay.
do.
I think that's probably
you
what I
gotta do a
tweeted.
Play, yeah.
I just thought, but I'd be like, not even in a way like I got to do that. I was just like, yeah, like this is exactly right. This is exactly the right guy. He has like all of the bullets in his
that feels-
arsenal, and I
feels
just
good.
see that, and I see, and I see you. That's all.
Yeah.
I just see you.
I wanna.
It's wonderful.
We have to work together on something.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
That
it
would
was
be
a long time
amazing.
ago. It was some movie that you're attached to. Or it was about a girl, a woman. I forget.
Oh, hilarious.
But there was a moment. I don't know if you're attached to it, but that's what I was told.
Yeah.
And there was talk, but we got to do.
We should
something.
figure it out.
And you're so good at this talk show thing that I want to consider that.
Yeah.
We'll I wanna
chat
talk about stuff.
offline.
Yeah.
We'll chat offline. Thanks for doing my show. Yay. That was Taye Diggs, and I really enjoyed that conversation. And you can see him now on the show Rosewood and upcoming on his series Murder in the First. And I'm sure in lots and lots of other places. He's a very busy guy. They are in the middle of shooting the third season of Murder in the First now. I'm not sure when it's going to premiere, mainly because I don't know stuff generally. But it is coming out soon, and you can check that out. And you can obviously also watch him on Rosewood. All right, no Appalachia. I don't know if there's going to be. We're going to see how many Apple. If I'm going to, I don't know if I did this in the Appalachia in the last episode, but if not, I'll do it now. For those of you who are heartbroken about Girl on Guy becoming a monthly show instead of a weekly show, just know that it was a very painful decision for me to make. I'm going through this I'm in a very interesting period of my life. Not that it's all about me, but let's just make it about me for 60 seconds, where I am doing lots and lots of things, and I'm worried that I'm not doing all of them as well as I could be doing them. And I also have some creative goals that I'm set for myself for down the line that I want to start to take steps towards. And I realized there was no time in my life to take those steps because my path was so occupied with other tasks. I'm very lucky. I don't take any of what I'm doing right now for granted. It's extraordinary for one actor to be on 4 series at one time. And I know it's not going to last forever. And I know that a lot of it just came together in a perfect storm of good luck and being in the right place at the right time. But what I do want to make sure is that I do my best work in all of those things. And this show, which I love and has been a passion project of mine from the very beginning, in which I already miss it, even though it's not gone away. I had to find the hammock in my life, the one thing that was maybe the low-hanging fruit, the thing that I could pluck and clear a bit of space for myself personally. And unfortunately, Girl on Guy was it. But I want you to know that I love this show, and I love you and your enthusiasm for Girl on Guy, your passion, your letters, your words, your tweets, your Facebook posts, your kindness through this last few weeks when I announced that the show was going to be monthly, and some people were pissing and moaning about the fact that the archive was subscription only now, and pissing and moaning about the fact that they couldn't get access to those episodes, that almost everybody was like, hey, we understand why you're doing this and where you're coming from. And so I just want to thank you for taking the time out to reach out to me. Nothing lasts forever. And I'm trying to do the best I can at everything that I'm doing. But do know that I'm not letting this show go because I don't love it. I'm letting it diminish slightly so that I can pursue some other artistic pursuits. And I only have one run. We only have one run on this planet, one life. And we have to constantly be recalibrating as to where we want to put our energy and what dreams we want to pursue. And it was clear to me if I wanted to start to move in some of these other directions that I was just going to have to make a hole. So that's what happened. That's what's going on. And I encourage all of you, in the time that you have available to you, to pursue your own dreams. I don't want to turn into a greeting card now, but that's been an ongoing theme of this show, is the pursuit of personal satisfaction, and whatever that area may be. I encourage you not to wait. I encourage you to look around at what is keeping you from chasing your dreams and pursuing your goals, and eliminate those things, and clear a runway for your dreams. Clear the runway for your own joy, because no one is going to do that for you. You guys are awesome. You are my army. You are the greatest. Welcome to 2016. Let's all get out in the street and kick massive fucking ass. And I'll touch on the next one. Late. Girl on Guy is a production of Hot Machine, blowing shit up since 2009.